Aum Sairam. Hara Hara Shankara, Jaya Jaya Shankara. Episode 15. Shri Mahaswami-The Sage with Eyes of Light. The Diary of a Seeker of Truth. Dr.Serge Demetrian. Dear devotees, now we shall listen to the second part of this divine book under the subtitle The Pilgrim's House. Kanchipuram, Saturday, 6th June 1970. In an immense reception hall. This evening I found the hotel fully booked. I went to see Mr. Chetty and inquired if I could stay overnight at his home. He put me up in the southern half of an immense reception hall that occupied the entire upper floor of his very spacious old colonial house, with 4 mirrors that covered almost the entire walls. On the extremely high ceiling hung a very large Venetian candelabra. From the beginning of the 19th century, deprived of its candles, judging from the layer of dust that covered the glassware cut in complicated angles, it must not have been in use for a considerable time. There was no furniture at all. I had to use the carpet as a bed. Luckily, I had with me a light plaid cover and a bed sheet. Whosoever travels in India must be prepared for all eventualities. Kanchipuram, Madras, Sunday, 7th June 1970. In the morning, the sun woke me up by entering the room through the slits of the wooden shutters. The position of the hall was ideal. Situated on the first floor of the building over the administrative floor, it was reachable by a large staircase with easy steps to climb. A very large veranda in old colonial style surrounded it on 3 sides. The portion of the veranda oriented towards east opened onto a lovely courtyard. Further along, also towards the east, spread the garden yard where I had my last darshan. Even farther, at another some 50 meters, was the main building of the pilgrim's house, where Sri Mahaswami stayed, and beyond that, at no more than 100 meters, one could see the walls and a gopuram, the tower of the Kamakshi temple. The atmosphere was imbued by the presence of Sri Mahaswami. The deafening roars of the loudspeakers, it was one of the marriage days, were not yet troubling me. After a quick wash, I swiftly went into the garden to prostrate once again in front of the place where 2 days ago Sri Mahaswami was sitting. I touched the earth with both hands. It was as if it still was vibrating. I travelled back to Madras in good conditions. However, in the afternoon, a sudden stomachache crippled me for a while. Perhaps there was some lapse in my dietary behavior during the journey, or was it the shock of the return? Madras, Friday, 19th June 1970. The effect of the last visit to Kanchipuram was prolonged in its marvelous results. Every time I look at the photo of Sri Mahaswami in my room, a kind of current starts in my heart. Along with the cooling of the top of my head, everything is accompanied by a feeling of well-being. I am convinced that he has so many times directed his prayer towards the Supreme that he has become of the nature of the Supreme. Let me be attentive and call for his help before my prayer and meditation, for although in my case headaches and giddiness have always been unobtrusive, other signs that may accompany the efforts in concentration have not yet subsided. Sweating, light tremor of the limbs. If ideas of fear, of death, or of madness appear, they have to be all pulverized. They are nothing but illusions. The Supreme under the form of Sri Mahaswami is always there. Often I am astonished at having so much force and determination. Who has granted them to me? Surely it is Sri Mahaswami. He alone has the capacity to create in me the resolve to follow him. Now and then it is as if he would appear alive in front of me. He takes my head in his own hands. Then the great words burst in my heart as little suns of silvery light. Sometimes he comes, encircles my head with his arm, brings it nearer to his heart, and destroys all feeling of physical personal reality or of individuality. I note an improvement. I am able now to go inward by myself and effortlessly, probably due to his invisible presence. Kanchipuram, Thursday, 16th July 1970. I left directly from the University of Madras for Kanchipuram in an exalted mood. I felt entirely invaded by a bluish air. I had the certitude that I was being led, and my body and mind seemed to concur with a silent, positive affirmation. This happens with events where everything is in harmony. However, attention, there is the threat of sloppiness and daydreaming, the mindless appetite to enjoy before success is achieved. Then one is promptly punished, at least in my experience. In this case, I missed by a short second the bus that could have brought me to Kanchipuram 2 hours earlier. At Kanchipuram, I learned that Sri Mahaswami was at the Vyasa Shantaleshwara temple, some 3 kilometers away from the town's center. I could have darshan tomorrow. I listened with interest to all the information about the importance of coming Saturday, which is the beginning of the Chaturmasya that will be signaled by the Vyasa Puja. Kanchipuram, Friday 17th July 1970. Beginning of the Chaturmasya at Kanchipuram. This morning I woke up with a feeling of good rest. My body had responded much more easily and quicker than during the horrible summer through which I just had to pass from March to June. I felt literally drawn to leave by 8 a.m. as I had originally intended. I left the hotel taking with me 6 big mango fruits from Madras and 4 lengths of orange flowers woven into a garland. These flowers, once withered, are similar to the robe of the sannyasin, drab orange, dyed with a special earth. Vyasa Shantaleshwara is a small temple which is very peaceful and clean at the edge of the town. In front of it is an old reservoir, and around it gardens and huts. Here and there is a house with footpaths among scattered trees. Sri Mahaswami had left for the temple of Kamakshi. He was expected back around 10 o'clock. I returned to the main road and went to Little Kanchipuram or Vishnu Kanchi, an important area developed round an immense temple consecrated to Vishnu, who is here named Sri Varadaraja Perumal. In this area is located the subsidiary of the Sri Shankaracharya Mutt, where the Vyasa Puja will be celebrated tomorrow. It is a pleasant house with a welcoming courtyard. In a corner is an open room, a kind of temple with a stele on which one can clearly distinguish a bas relief. It shows the young Adi Shankara respectfully asking to be accepted as disciple by his would-be master, who has a long beard touching his prominent abdomen. He sits full of importance, cross-legged on the ground near a small Shivalinga. After a detour at the Vyasa Shantaleshwara temple, where Sri Mahaswami had not yet arrived, I head back towards the Kamakshi temple. While passing through the commercial area, I stop and buy 4 meters of khadi cloth, as custom has it that one should offer a dress to the sannyasin on the day of tomorrow's festivity. I reach the Kamakshi temple, where I find Sri Mahaswami in an edifice consisting of a kitchen and storerooms situated in the left angle of the yard. There are 2 or 3 rooms which are preceded by an open veranda with pillars perched on a tall platform in stone. One can reach this platform by a large flight of stairs. Today, while preparing tomorrow's celebrations, Sri Mahaswami does not speak, not even by signs. I am told that he is in meditation, and one can feel it. In the yard, there predominates an ethereal atmosphere dappled with white and azure that slowly vibrates. The waves originate from the left angle of the yard, where I am able to perceive the fine, regular beaming of a sun in the shape of a cold diamond. I get ready to wait under the stately and ancient holy tree of the temple, some 30 meters towards northwest. After some time, I feel that I should try my luck. Through an intermediary of goodwill, I obtain a darshan. A quite long interval passes, and I observe some movements in between the pillars. Although I cannot make out anything in the obscurity of the too distant hall, I can guess that Sri Mahaswami has changed place. I am waiting prepared, dressed in my white dhoti from the waist to the ground, a shawl at the middle of the chest, keeping in my right hand the small basket with the mangoes, the flowers and the ochre cloth over them, and, of course, hardly breathing due to emotion. I do not see him yet, but by a definite moment, it was as though he had thought of me. I change place so as to catch sight of him as soon as he would appear, and, indeed, he reveals himself from behind the corner of a wall. From obscurity to the light, he has difficulty in walking as in a thick dream. He is so different from everything that exists around, as if only he really existed. I come nearer to the platform. Sri Mahaswami is now at about 1 meter above the ground. He approaches slowly, protecting with the left hand his eyes from the glaring rays of the sun. He seems to me to have been created from a unique material that has been gathered from everything that is excellent to our senses, a luminescent substance whose glimmer does not burn, that does not glitter, which is immaterial, but still it exists. He is perfect. He is the perfection. His visible form on this higher platform stops exactly in front of me, who am waiting down below on the ground level of the temple, which is covered by large slabs of grey granite, smoothed by the feet of thousands and thousands of devotees. I stand under the platform with a basket of offerings. In thought, I place myself under his feet. I then perform my prostration, trembling lightly, a thing that happens now and then. I come up and I open myself, offering myself to his eyes, only to his eyes. From above, he allows his sight to fall almost vertically as 2 blazing meteors straight into my pupils. I bent back my head to receive them better. I believe I was observing a gleam of the infinite in his eyes. After 1 minute, he lifts his face towards the sky as though he would call someone from the heavens, then moves his head down and once again plunges his sight into my eyes. It seems there was another lightning stroke that opened the way between his eyes and mine. After a while, I understand that the darshan has come to its end, a last prostration. By the time I get up, he is already half turned to leave. I observe a gesture of his hand as though to say, "You do not know what you have received. You almost do not deserve it." I watch his slow strides along the platform, limited first by the obstructing pillars and then at the interior and obscurity where I can no longer perceive him. An idea comes to me to change the angle, and I succeed in guessing that he is in a remote, dark corner, totally unruffled by the prostrations of the motley crowd that had invaded the platform. I part with difficulty from his presence, dragging this heavy and useless body. Is it still good for something? I make a detour to the office of Mr. Kannaya Chetty, who offers me a souvenir volume of 77 pictures in honor of Sri Mahaswami's birthday. I am told that Sri Mahaswami has recommended the marriage of girls before their higher education. This was because young diploma holders who were unable to marry were coming in large number to complain to him. He has also ordered a change of jewels of the festive palanquin statue of the goddess Kamakshi, Utsavamurthy. While we were talking, the person responsible for this work comes in. He is a very short man, round as a barrel, short-sighted, asthmatic. Everybody serves God as he is. Mr. Chetty informs me about the eating habits of the sannyasin during the Chaturmasya period. For instance, this month they do not eat root vegetables, potatoes, carrots and so on, and they take less salt and oil. The important day of the festival is tomorrow. They fast throughout. Some of them do not even drink water until evening. In the Hindu calendar, there are at least 30 festive days in a year. One should add to this the general advice for every adult and valid Hindu to fast twice a month, the day of Ekadasi, which is the 11th day out of a lunar fortnight. An excellent habit I cannot but subscribe to, and which I already try to put into practice. I leave my friend and I take a walk along a favorite bylane where my imagination had wandered these last weeks. I had formed dreams to reside in Kanchipuram for 2 or 3 years. This small street does not satisfy me anymore, and I will have to look for another one. I visit again the temple I prefer, Mukteshwara. Here, on the contrary, there is no disappointment. I find once again the same spiritual atmosphere. The Shivalinga, carved in 16 angles, has been traditionally adored by Matanga Muni. I do not know why I feel so much attracted. I respectfully touch the Shivalinga with my hand. I had often taken it in my heart, where it appears as if made of fire and gold. I find this astonishing. I learned that the temple is now very poor, and I am told how a Hindu who was in charge and belonged to the administration had illegally acquired the surrounding land that belonged to the temple. Later, that man hanged himself. Devotees, let us close this episode and shall continue to listen to the second part of Sri Mahaswami, the sage with eyes of light, in the coming episode, bowing at the holy feet of the Gurus. Aum Sairam. Hara Hara Shankara, Jaya Jaya Shankara.